Hey there, everybody. Lisa Duerre here, CEO of RLD Group, and I am so happy for those of you waiting for the live stream, messaging us, Terry and Michelle both. Thank you so much for being a part of the audience and the community. We did have some technical difficulties, and here we are. So if you can see me live, if you can drop it in the chat, that's going to help me know that we've made it to you on all the platforms. Let's just see who's here today. If you can just say see you or I'm in, that would be great. Just going to double check here. While I'm waiting to see, because I know Terry and Michelle had just messaged us, let me just say hi, first of all, and let you know that this topic is something that's near and dear to my heart. And truth be told, it's something that has been brewing inside for a long time. So, Terry, great, you see us. Thank you so much. It's been brewing in my heart for a long time, and it actually started in a conversation where Alenka and Rachelle, our guest today, brought this forward to me. And Madhu, it's so good to see you. Yes. And we are here. Woohoo, we're here. Dawn, great. Thank you. You're here. So let me invite you in to just put your hand on your heart for a moment and just think about a time when you had something go on at work and it was really frustrating and you felt supported and heard and seen and valued and also coached and mentored and given some clear direction. Situations like that is a balance of masculine and feminine leadership styles. And what we know to be true with the women in tech leaving the workforce, with all the statistics we've been talking about, we thought it would be a great idea today to bring this conversation to you, have you put your voices in here as well, and have a conversation about what does it look like when you have balanced masculine and feminine energy as a leader and as someone on the team. So in that conversation today is going to be you. So drop your thoughts in here. Why is feminine leadership important? Why is feminine wisdom important? Let us know your thoughts. And then I'm going to invite our two guests up today. So Alenka Znidarsic and Rachelle Niemann, welcome to our live stream. I'm so glad you're both here. And I just want to say thank you for bringing this topic to me to bring forward as we open up this conversation. We bring a crowdsourcing approach to this because we're all smarter together. And I'd just love to start off with Rachelle and really understand from you, why is talking about feminine wisdom in tech important, and how does it play out in your own? How do you see that, Rachelle, when it comes to this topic today? Why does it matter, and what's your vision?
Yeah, thank you for the space and this question, Lisa. It's really important for me because I think it's all about finding balance and wholeness. And I think what we're experiencing today is an imbalance in the workplace, especially in tech, towards like those masculine qualities. And when we don't have that balance, then we tend to overcompensate for those areas, and that takes up a lot of extra energy. And so I think we're spending a lot of unnecessary energy in, bringing our products and services to the world and maybe not getting that holistic, balanced approach that we could be in bringing our whole selves to work and bringing that forward with creativity and innovation. And things might be able to look differently if we were able to bring these two, feminine wisdom as well as masculine wisdom, more into balance in the workplace.
So I'm really interested in this. I want to make sure, can you all hear me? Just want to make sure people can hear me as I'm talking to Rachelle. I know you can see me. I just want to see if you can hear me too, because I don't want to miss one thing about what Rachelle's saying. Okay, it sounds like you guys can hear me. So Rachelle, when you think about balance, one of the things that I know you're so great about within our team and in your own world is looking at both sides. And so what's the invitation while we're listening in today on how you are thinking about the balance of masculine and feminine? Just want to drop your thoughts in here while we're checking on the sound check. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Oh, perfect. I think there's a lot of ways we can look at how we're bringing ourselves as leaders to work. We all are leaders in some fashion, either leading ourselves or leading a team or even being part of a team. We have leadership qualities in there. And it's looking at what are we bringing in as well as what are we leaving behind? And like, are we feeling that imbalance? And it's kind of checking in with ourselves to see how we're showing up, and then looking at what is impacting the way we show up, why we're showing up that way. And I think as leaders, that we can look more closely at ourselves and how we're bringing ourselves to work and what our work environment is like, and kind of understanding if we can bring more balance into the workplace as far as like the more, they call them softer qualities, but bringing forward creativity and compassion, kindness, even that openness of like talking about things outside of work and just allowing ourselves to bring our whole selves to work.
Mm. So, for those of you that are here listening into what Rachelle says, what's resonating? Can you drop some thoughts here? Compassion, wholeness, openness, curiosity. When you think about those qualities, do you think we need more of that in the workplace? Is it just Rachelle, me, and Alenka thinking we need this? What do you guys think? Yes? Thumbs up, let us know. And Alenka, while we're getting some comments on Rachelle's um, perspective on things, I'd love to invite you up to share, why does this topic matter to you? Why did you bring it forward? And what would you like to presence when you think about a story of being in a leadership role or being led by someone who is balancing feminine and masculine energies and traits? What are your thoughts, Alenka?
Hi, Lisa. It seems we have some challenging technical challenges. I couldn't hear you, you inviting me to the stage. However, I believe you asked me to share something about my experience. What is the balance between feminine and male energies in the work? So I have more than 20 years career in tech, working in the research and small startups where I was in the leadership teams. And what it came to me when I think back or I reflect back on my career is that many times I was between using my feminine traits, qualities, and male qualities. Especially the example would be when I got from the leadership the deadline that my team had to reach developing new products. And I knew that those deadlines were not achievable or realistic, and I couldn't have give myself permission, or I didn't have time to really stop, pause, and ask my teams what's going on in their life. Many times there was a lot of stress, often stress related with work or outside the work. And at that situation, I needed to push them towards the results and innovation. The question that I asked myself often was really, can I show myself as a female in tech and I really still be on my leadership path and career? And how much it will hurt my career if I will put the people's first instead of excellence and deadlines and really financial results and profit. It's really important for me to talk about feminine versus male, because I think that every person, engineer, it's not only about using analytical minds and going for the quality new innovations. It's also about the heart that they bring to the work. And when we talk about the heart, it's connected with the listening skills and really be aware, how are you feeling, and sharing your dreams and dreaming about the future. When you can use both and balance both, then you can bring your creativity and your full self to the work. And it was so long that I felt that I'm between those two forces and I couldn't talk about it. And I would like to bring awareness to the tech organization that when they put the people's first and when they talk about this balance, they will also have a better business results. It influences how the people feel and how they create and innovate. And not only that, it's also important how they bring innovation to the society and world. And I strongly believe that there will be more ethical use in the world when we will talk with the compassion and the heart when we talk about innovations.
Mm. Yeah, and Alenka, I think we're modeling right now what it might be like to be flexible with this. So Rachelle, I might make a point here, then I'm going to let you reframe it, and then I'll have you introduce Alenka so she doesn't miss out on what we're doing. Does that work for you okay?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I love this so much. So don't we all know that sometimes this happens, right? And how might we model what it means to be inclusive and meet people where they're at? So Alenka has brought this conversation forward in many different conversations that I've had. And one of the things I really appreciate about what she's saying is her personal stories of when she felt that she couldn't bring those qualities or characteristics forward. And one of the things as the CEO of RLD Group that I'm really proud of is our model, which we call FIRM. So, FIRM is the leadership model that we use, and that we have people understand that in order to thrive now, you need to, as a leader, be flexible, leverage your intuition, create resilience, and be mindful. And what that's really highlighting, I think, are many feminine leadership qualities and characteristics. And when we think about balancing masculine and feminine qualities and characteristics, we're really just talking about balance, not one way or the other. And for me, when we were having this conversation before COVID, right? We know through all the work we do in our client base, we have strong execution. Those are the strengths inside tech all the time. And when you're focusing on always getting it done and you're in the environment where you're always on, it's never good enough, and you're worried about job security, it's going to be really hard for you to kind of drop into and let your intuition take over because from a neuroscience standpoint, you're just hijacked. And so what we're really inviting us all to think about is how might we create psychological safety in the workplace and well-being because of the fact that we're integrating masculine and feminine wisdom into our organizations. And so, Rachelle, I just want to check in with you. I'm going to turn it over to you to talk a little bit about well-being and why this matters. We have some statistics about well-being we can drop in the chat. And then from there, you can turn it over to Alenka to talk more about the blend when it comes to her lens as an engineering leader too. So, Rachelle, what would you like to say about wellness, and what would you like to invite the audience in as far as their comments and well-being?
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. I was just looking at Dawn's comment about her male mentor thinking that she might not be tough enough, and finding a way around that, that caring is not an implication of weakness. I think that that's such a huge comment, Dawn. Thank you for sharing that. And it's so true. And caring, I think, is such a strength that all of us could have. What would it look like if we all cared more about each other openly and verbally with each other in the workplaces and outside of the workplaces? What a different world we might exist in. And I think if we can bring our whole selves, and as you were mentioning, that psychological safety aspect of when we feel safe, we can be more creative. We have the courage and the bravery to be more creative when we feel safe. And when we feel heard and seen and acknowledged, I think we can bring much more innovation and creativity and ideas, and just overall a more holistic approach. And when we feel safe at work, that allows us to feel safe, which is great for our well-being. And I think when you feel well at work, it helps. We spend so much time at work that when we leave work, that it'll have the ripple effect outside of work. If we can feel energized and engaged while we're working, it also could impact outside of our workplace immensely. And then Alenka, I believe you are back with us. I'd also love to invite your thoughts forward around just well-being in the workplace and bringing this balance of masculine and feminine energy and how that can benefit us in the workplace.
Thank you, Rachelle. Thank you, Rachelle. When we think about well-being at the work, I strongly believe is really about talking about the people's first. When we bring people's first and we see them as one that they really create and innovate in the work, and we openly speak about all aspects of their lives, then we give them permission to feel themselves. And as I said before, in the tech world environments is bringing opportunities that those conversations happen. There is a lot of biases in the work, and as again, we don't have a space and time to have a conversation. I've read also not being tough enough, as Anna said in the chat, that I heard as a leader many times in the word. You are not tough enough. You have to push your people that they will deliver results no matter what. It's important for the company. It's important for the results and for having our clients. There was never a time that we were allowed to have a conversation about personal life. And even when we were at the retreats that the companies have, many times we talk many times about the strategies for the companies and less about the people. So thank you for inviting me to speak about it.
Yeah, Alenka, can you hear me now? I just want to see, did you logging in help? Can you hear me? Nope. Okay, so Rachelle, we're gonna keep doing this. This is gonna be great. We're gonna do the round robin, okay? So with what Alenka's saying in this tough enough, I just want to really highlight that there's a shift going on. And when the pandemic hit and we all saw what was going on behind the Zoom screen and everything changed overnight, we had to be less tough. We had to be way more resilient and flexible. And what we saw was tremendous productivity, as well as the humanity, the level playing field of all of us realizing there's more going on than just work. So we just had a statistic up from Gallup that only 25% of US employees strongly agree that their organization cares about their overall well-being. And if you're getting a message of be more tough or toughen up, you're probably in that 75% thinking you don't matter and you should just suck it up, right? And the reality is there are days to just push through and rise to the challenge. And there are absolutely days to tend and befriend as a leader in the organization. And so, Rachelle, one of the things that we have on here that we wanted to share today is that we have this concept of innovation, right? So there's another statistic here from Accenture that innovation is 6 times higher at organizations with the most equal workplace cultures. So, Rachelle, if you could lend your thoughts to that, it would be great. And then I'll have you transition it to Alenka.
Yeah, absolutely. I think part of innovation is using creativity and curiosity and going back to that psychological safety. If we don't feel safe, it's hard for us to be creative because we aren't engaging that part of our brain when we aren't feeling safe. And so I think that so much more innovation is possible if we bring that balance to the workplace. And also looking at it from different aspects, looking at it from who might be using this product and maybe focusing on how it might impact them. Like if it is something that a woman might use more than a male, having that balanced look at innovation on that device or product or service could really change the trajectory of that product or service if we kind of change the way we think about things and bring these two energies into more balance.
So, Rachelle, while you're looking at the comments and looking at things, can I ask you? I have a question for you about thinking about. Let's just define for a minute, like the positive aspects of male energy and the positive aspects of female energy. And then we'll tie it to innovation and we'll have Alenka answer the question. But when you look at it, how do you define or what are you seeing out there that people are highlighting, the positives of masculine energy and leadership and the positives of feminine? What comes to mind for you?
I find this such a fascinating topic because it's something I'm working on always, is trying to find that balance of like, I was overcompensating for a long time in the masculine space because I really had no understanding of the feminine energy space. And then I went way on the other side to the feminine energy, not really understanding what the powers of the masculine energy were. And now I'm like learning how to bring those into balance. So I think the masculine energy side does help us get things done, move us forward. It helps us define goals and objectives and move toward them in a practical and methodical way. And I think on the feminine side is where we're bringing in the creativity, we're bringing in the holistic aspects of like the compassion, the kindness, the curiosity, the hearing everybody's voices equally, and really using listening and curiosity as a superpower to move innovation forward. So I think balancing of those two is really important, and it's really the only way we're going to move forward on things. But that's been my experience on that. And then Alenka, can you hear Lisa now? No, okay. Gonna keep checking in. We are talking about kind of what are the aspects of masculine energy that you've experienced, the powerful aspects of masculine energy, and then the powerful and positive aspects of feminine energy, and how we can bring those two together to promote innovation.
When I look back at my, I would say, career and also my personal development that I had after I nearly burn out, I would say that male-dominated qualities are really going towards the goal, having a plan, strategic plan, seeing the strategy, understanding the task they are behind, and setting the goals. They are really specific, achievable. Also, being authentic. I find out it's much more common for a male-dominated energy. How they see as a professional. Many times the question arises, who you are as a professional, what are the qualities of being professional, and all those qualities, being professional, getting results, I would say leadership, career, growing, those are all male-dominated energies, and more straightforward thinking. On the other hand, we have a collaboration. When the people working in team, there is a lot of listening and giving permissions to share different perspectives and voices, and building the future, and even create from the spaces when everybody has a voice. That's how we can bring also bigger picture in the innovation space. I believe, and I see many times that when we talk about the female energies really bringing bigger pictures in the innovation and creativity space, when we invite even looking from different perspective, not only from the business one, but thinking about the communities and societies, how they can benefit, and how we can communicate and bringing those new technologies to the world. Many times in career, it's very important to listen also yourself, how you are feeling, where is your place, what is your personal vision, and what is your personal passion. And when I think about those, I would say, a characteristic or qualities in the professional work, I think about the personal development, when you have to really give yourself permission to stop. And this is being more in the calm space and really dreaming where you are at and what you want to achieve. It's bringing more space and presence. And those are more personal, I would say, female qualities. And every leader, I believe, needs a time to stop and really think about those qualities. So giving yourself permission to stop, to pause, and seeing what is your role, who you are as a leader, what you want to bring in the team and organization.
Yeah, and Alenka, I'm going to talk and reflect, and then Rachelle's going to translate. This is so perfect. Don't we have this in our worlds every day? It is just so great. Okay, so one of the things that's coming up for me when I'm listening to both of you talk, when we think about the world that we're in right now and the current situation when it comes to talent retention and engagement and open job recs and all that's going on with the remix from, of 6-7 months ago when layoffs were contagious and everything was shifting. When you really think about it at the fundamental level, at a personal level, right? Not the organization of the system, but just the human inside the system. What I know is that I overcorrected in the beginning of my career too. I was very much in masculine energy. And I was, buttoned up and I didn't show any emotion. I just got it done and very confident, right? And then what happened was I started to burn out and I ended up crying at work a couple of times, like in meetings. And I was mortified. Like, who cries at work? That is like a sign of weakness. And what happened was in those meetings, people afterwards would come back and go, "Are you okay? I felt it too. I'm so glad I'm so glad you cried because now we can talk about it." It was really the message from most people. And then with the leader, I was like, "Oh my gosh, they're going to think I'm weak and it's going to be awful." And then the leader came by and was like, "I had no idea you were carrying all this." And so then we had a conversation that was different, all because my eyes were leaking. And really, that's the completion of a stress response when we know the science. But I'm seeing comments in here from Dawn and from Anna around, overcompensating and trying too hard in one way. And I think I just want a presence for all of us that we may have been interpreting it wrong, right? It's not that you have to be a certain way all the time. What we're looking for is the balance and the integration that sometimes that masculine energy is absolutely needed. And sometimes the feminine energy is exactly what that team needs. And if you can recall back to when COVID hit, there was a lot of feminine energy, nurturing, compassion, flexibility, openness, because everybody was in it together. And so if you're looking at your culture, and how do you want your employees to thrive? We have another statistic here I'll just want to bring up, right? And that is, I want to read it, right? So, on its own, employee engagement makes a considerable improvement to business outcomes. We need people to be engaged, right? Combined with thriving employees, these improvements become even more potent. And fundamentally, that's what we're talking about today, and would love to get your comments on, because in order to fully be engaged, you have to feel that what you're doing matters and that you are being led in an environment where you are supported, right? And that's the reality of the situation today. And I think I just want to pause and see if anyone has a reaction to that with what we've said so far. What's resonating? What questions do you have? Let's bring your voice in. I just want to give us a moment to calibrate and make sure that we're bringing in your voices too. So I know Dawn, let's pull up Dawn's comment. Just take a look at it, and then we'll have Rachelle and Alenka respond. So Dawn says, "I overcorrected initially. I interpreted masculine. Yep. As a result, I pushed too hard. Yep. Less open. Together, everyone achieves more." And what you can't say is being able to sense and respond to what it takes to deliver with engagement instead of as a hostage. So Rachelle, what comments would you like to say for Dawn? And then I'll have you pass it to Alenka.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful to have shared. Thank you again, Dawn. And I think many of us who have gone into many females or women that have gone into the tech space have experienced that overcorrection or that overcompensation, because it was hard to know what else to do. And when you show up in these spaces, and you have no idea which way to go, and there isn't a ton of mentorship, or I think there is more today than when I started, but I wouldn't have even known what to ask at that time to a mentor or a leader to help me balance this masculine and feminine energy. And the word that keeps coming up to me right now is flexibility. And if we can engage in more flexibility and have enough trust in our own wholeness and authenticity, that we can open that door for being more flexible with ourselves, with each other, that could have just such a huge impact. And also being able to say when you are wrong, or say I'm sorry, or this isn't what I expected, and be able to change trajectory, I think can be really powerful to bring in the workplace as well. And I'll invite you forward, Alenka, on your thoughts around this. I believe you heard what I said, so I'll invite your thoughts in this as well.
I love all the comments in the chat. Dawn said, "I interpreted masculine as direct and less feeling." That was my experience too. Not only that I interpreted it like that, I was told like that. Then when I am on the leadership position, then I should not talk about my emotions, and that only results matter. Many times in research, they said you have to publish those articles and not going out and collaborate with others and bringing, I would say, larger ideas. So it was in my head, in my heart all the time. And because I was a perfectionist and I want to grow on my leadership career, I just put my female qualities on side. And when I think about today, the word being adaptable come to my mind. I also hear being flexible, but being adaptable. And what it comes with being adaptable is also understanding your impulses, your thoughts, and people around you. So you have to be really present and listening well when you react, not only your reaction, but also adapt to the other people's reaction and feelings. So being adaptable, it's not only one thing. It's about knowing yourself, your personal growth first, and then adapting to the environment that you are working in. It's about the culture in the company too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna keep doing round robin. So what Alenka is saying with adaptability and what Rachelle is saying with flexibility, I think what's showing up for me right now is that because we use Clifton Strengths in our engagements, and we have the data to look at it, and we see what an inclusion superpower it can be to understand yourself and the strengths you bring. The Clifton Strengths has both masculine and feminine energies to everything too, and I'm just thinking about what's something practical that the listener right now can actually bring back into the workforce right now and think about how can they shape their day differently with just this new reflection point of masculine and feminine energy. I'll go first. And for me, I think something that's practical is to just notice how you're feeling when we're talking about it. Are you, do you like the terms we're using? Are you feeling like, oh, this is too, how is this possibly going to happen? Or resistant? Are you embracing it? Are you like, oh, yes, thank you, somebody gets it? Just notice how you feel of the topic itself will help move the needle. And if you're feeling resistant to it at all, I would just ask yourself why. And then give yourself the permission to just be okay with being a little uncomfortable with this, because this is not something that people talk about normally. This is something we know and we feel, but we're not putting words to. So my invitation to you is to notice how you're feeling in this conversation. Rachelle, what's your invitation to the listener today? Something practical they can do to, digest what's going on right now, what we're talking about, and actually bring it into their workday.
I think this is such a great question. And the word that popped up in my mind immediately was gratitude. And I think when we can bring more gratitude, that brings some of that feminine wisdom and energy to the space, because we're becoming present and just noticing what we're appreciating around us. So I really think that just taking some moments of gratitude throughout your day to appreciate anything, something, it can be so simple as, I have hot water, whatever it can be. It can be really simple, but just leaning into gratitude a couple times throughout the day, especially if you're feeling tension or resistance or that discomfort, also leaning into gratitude in those spaces. And Alenka, the question is, what's something tangible that they can take away around this conversation of feminine wisdom and masculine wisdom?
I would like to share co-creation. Co-creation when you invite your, I would say, your employee, people in your team, to co-create, I would say, the practices and in your culture. Ask them what they want to see more when you think about the work environment and the culture. When people co-create, when they have a feeling that they can share and they co-create some processes, or I always call it ecosystem where they work, they feel that they are more committed to that, and they feel more buy-in into not only the culture, but also to to how they work in the environment, how they collaborate with others. It's a human quality when you co-create something, you're also feeling that it's your own, that you participate more. So I invite you to bring more voices when you think about the environment and when you create new practices in your work.
Okay, so how's that? That you want to do something, do that in your next team meeting. Ask everybody for one reflection or one thing we can do, because you can see what can happen so quickly. So I said notice and reflect. Rachelle said gratitude, practice gratitude. And Alenka went to co-creation, bring in more voices in your ecosystem. And one of the things that I think I just want to leave everybody with today is when you do that, like what becomes possible? And if you could just drop it in the chat, whether it's noticing and pausing and reflecting, whether it's expressing gratitude for yourself or your teams, or looking at bringing more voices into the conversation, what do you think becomes possible when you do that? I'd love to just bring your voice into the conversation right now. So, what becomes possible? Let's see. So Dawn says, Lisa, I like that you've modeled orderly internal response, leader response, participant response. You engaged us using, oh, I'm so glad. Because Dawn, one of the things I can tell you for sure is that when you work with RLD Group and we work in this space, we always are trying to show people what's possible through each lens. And I think the thing I'm grateful for, if I reflect and have gratitude right now, it's Rachelle and Alenka have their own businesses and we co-create together through RLD Group. And I'm super grateful for that, as we can each bring our own voice and support each other without competition, knowing that there's space for everyone and that together we're stronger. So thank you, Dawn, for giving me that feedback. It's really helpful. And then Terry, this conversation is making me reflect on many moments in my career. Oh, I love that. Yeah, so maybe there's a moment of gratitude for someone, Terry, or yourself. If there's anything you want to share here with us, please let us know. Um, one of the things that's, because this is organic and live, right? And we're not scripted. We have some thoughts where we want to cover, but I feel like one of the ways we can actually land this live is, first of all, gratitude for you all for being here with us. Second, gratitude for Randy for production behind the scenes as we navigated things going on. And I think third, gratitude for Rachelle and Alenka for inviting me into bringing this conversation to our platform through the lens that we absolutely did, which is about feminine wisdom and the balancing of energy. So I just love, with reflection, gratitude, and co-creation, Rachelle, any final thoughts to share? And then we'll send it to Alenka.
Yeah, I think when we talk about this topic of bringing feminine wisdom or feminine energy into the workplace more, or balancing of these energies, that it can feel like a challenge. And I just really want to reframe that. This is an invitation to look at possibility and an invitation to explore. And so we can alleviate some of that energy we bring to it if we look at it as an invitation rather than a challenge of something. And Alenka, I'll reiterate the question for you as well. Just, is there anything else that you want to bring forward to this group? And thank you, everybody, for joining us today and your insights as well.
I would like to invite you into the co-creation, something that will change the space of, I would say, the tech and the world. I believe so. Because when we bring your voices and just hearing your perspective, then we know that we are aligned with that mission that we are on. And when we can co-create with you together, and you are really somehow kind of ambassador, that you will go back into your organization and you will just start talking and open space for new opportunities, as Rachelle said. Then we can really make the solution works for all, or at least inviting even more women to have this conversation. It's about the courage and action.
Alenka and Rachelle, thank you so much for your thoughts on co-creation and the invitation. And so here's our invitation for you, those of you that are here with us right now, and those of you watching the replay. Whatever resonated with you, or a message that came through, a memory you had, someone that you want to give a shout out to who's modeled this, please amplify this conversation. Drop a comment in here. We'll respond. Share this event with those on your team and in your environment. We want to amplify this, and we want to co-create this with you. It is absolutely an invitation. And what Terry just said in her comments about this conversation today is having her reflect. She said, both good and not so good, but looking at it from a feminine, masculine wisdom, I'm seeing things differently. Yes, because there's a place for both. And the balance of that is what's going to help us in this next trajectory of all of our workplaces. So we thank you so much today for being here. Pause, reflect, notice, gratitude, co-creation, invitation, share, like, and really give yourself permission to look for the balance in yourself. We'll be doing more live events. We have something secret special we're cooking up right now to create for the community as well. Please drop your comments in here. Thank you for being with us today, and make it a great day, everybody. Thank you, Rachelle, Alenka, and Randy. I'm so grateful to be doing this work with you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lisa and Randy and Alenka and everybody that joined us today and who will watch this later.
Thank you.